I call the member for Gippsland.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, and I congratulate the member for Chisholm for noting the outstanding educational contributions that Bridget McKenzie, the Senate candidate, has made in the past and will continue to do so in the future. It is on another education issue, Deputy Speaker, that I rise today to express my extreme disappointment and indeed frustration with the way the debate over the Social Security and other legislation, minimum income or student youth allowance bill has been conducted. What we've seen, Deputy Speaker, has been enormously disappointing for not only the students involved, their parents and the teachers, and also I think for members of parliament who come in here, I think with all goodwill and the attempt to deliver an outcome which is in the best interests of students, particularly in my case from regional areas. And I've been disappointed, Deputy Speaker, with the minister's approach from day one, where rather than attempt to negotiate or to try and work through the issues that were presented in all good faith, she's just developed into something of an ideological warrior and tried to bludgeon everyone into submission. And it's been very disappointing that is then, once the battle lines have been drawn, the opportunity for any good faith negotiations has gone out the window. And we've got ourselves in a situation where the minister acknowledged last night that basically the students are now in limbo. We have put ourselves into a stalemate, and I think we're actually better than that in this place. There are members on both sides of the House who have a great contribution to make in terms of student income support issues, and it is a folly for any of us to believe that all wisdom resides on one side of the House. The minister conceded after the first introduction of her proposals in May that by about July or August she conceded that the workforce criterion issues which were going to affect students on their gap year were misguided, and she finally, after receiving multiple representations from members on both sides of the House, she finally conceded that there need to be changes and did make some amendments to the legislation. Now we've got to a situation where 6 months after the the proposal was first put to the Parliament, that we've got ourselves in a stalemate position, and the minister is lashing out and blaming everyone else but herself. And I think if we had negotiated in better faith several months ago, we wouldn't have got ourselves into this position. I'm one, and there are many on both sides of the House who have advocated reform of student income support, and I've listened closely to the contributions others have made in this regard. I advocated from the day I was elected 18 months ago, and I've spoken to the minister's office and written to her on several occasions, starting from the day I was elected, in relation to opportunities to provide more support for students, particularly from rural and regional areas. And I believe that there is an enormous amount of good faith, again, on both sides of the House to deliver an outcome. But what we've got now is a situation where last night in the House it descended more into name-calling and trying to blame each other for the mess we've got ourselves into. And the ones who are going to be left in no man's land, as it were, are the students themselves. And the people we were originally trying to help are the ones who are going to miss out the way things stand at the moment. I've been one who's certainly supported many aspects of the legislation the minister put forward in terms of increasing the income thresholds. I think they were good moves. But where the minister lost her way in all of this was when she started drawing up the battle lines and the ideological battle lines and trying to inflict these new regulations on students who were already in their gap year. And the situation we've got is basically these students acted in good faith. They received information from their Centrelink advisors, from their careers advisors, from their teachers, and these plans were put in place for 2 or 3 years. They didn't just do this overnight. They planned this out from about year 10 in a lot of my regional schools. So they've been planning this out for 2 or 3 years, and then to have the minister come in and say, we're going to pull the rug out from under your feet, you're not going to be entitled to the independent rate of youth allowance under the previous arrangements. So that was an act of poor faith, I believe, on the minister's behalf. The amendments she made, and I do concede that the minister's amendments were intended to overcome that situation, but there's still the 90-minute barrier in terms of the impact it's going to have on students who are going to miss out on the concessions that the minister's made in her transitional arrangements. And there is still the fact that there are thousands of students who are not accommodated by the minister's change of view. Deputy Speaker, my position on this legislation is well known. I've advocated strongly in my electorate and in the House on the various times I've had the opportunity to speak in relation to it. I just appeal to the minister in future when we have a situation where there is clearly a division across the Parliament, and I know for a fact there were backbenchers on her side who were raising issues with these changes when they first were introduced, that she actually takes the time to come and talk to members who come to her in good faith and raise issues with her. When I've got 50 students writing to me raising issues of great concern, I forward those letters to the minister. It is not a scaremongering campaign. We don't deserve to be vilified in our local area as a result, and I believe the minister has done herself no favours in this regard. I encourage the Minister to put out another media release in my electorate like she did last week and vilify me again, because the more she does that, the more the people of Gippsland realise that I'm standing up for my constituents.